Melissa McCoy is an Emmy nominated editor from the Emmy award winning comedy series Ted Lasso. I'm Matt Noble of Gold Derby, and I wanted to kick things off, Melissa, by asking you, was there anything different about how you approached the editing in season 3?
Um, I think season 3 we all kind of had in our mind that this could be the goodbye. So I think for sure we were aware of that when we were working, but we also never wanted to be too like melancholy or sad about it, So we'd monitor ourselves for getting too sentimental. But yeah, we definitely were editing with that in mind. And also I think more of like the fans, we could feel the fans wanting the season to come out and wanting it to be this epic experience. And so we were really into the details of every little thing, background things, and because we knew that our fans would, push pause and examine text messages and back and forth. So we really we were super focused on that, which we really weren't season 1. And the other thing is our the Premier League, we were more they kind of partnered with us this season, so we had more luxury of listening to like fan chants and things for the different stadiums we were going to and incorporating that into the season, which was really fun. Like I'd go on YouTube and be like, okay, let's watch a West Ham opener or the different, if wherever we were going that episode sort of thing. So that was a lot of fun to kind of like build the world out even more into the real world. I think came when, Ted Lasso became an exciting thing and everybody was like, yeah, let's be a part of it. So we got to expand a little bit more this season.
And yeah, the interesting thing is, so you've got so you're right, you weren't sure whether this was going to be the final season or not, but you definitely knew it was rounding out a 3-season story arc. And that, like, the episode that you are nominated for at the Emmys is the season final. So was there anything particular about how you approached that episode, whether you were coming back or not, but knowing that it was in some ways a bit of a sort of closing the loop on some story arcs and character?
Yeah. Like that episode is so big and it's so dense, and I kind of approached it as a three different pieces. It was like kind of the opening was kind of a traditional Ted Lasso. The first 20 minutes was like a traditional Ted Lasso episode. We had some office scenes, some Diamond Dog scenes, and then we had a big 20-minute football match, which called back to so many different elements of the whole 2 seasons before. And then we had the whole then I looked at the ending, which was kind of like post game airport to the end. And so yeah, that one was a lot of like reviewing the callbacks from season 1, like airport, plane. Since I did the pilot, I was really like, okay, call on pilot Melissa to kind of bring that energy to finale, like this 3-season arc thing. So yeah, it was, us, the Ussie kid, the callbacks to the different plays, Nate coming home. There was a lot of wrapping up that we did in that last episode to kind of like close all the ribbons and and do this. But I think it also like opened a lot of things, like, yes, we were kind of closing a chapter, but we were also saying like there's still a lot more that could be told, and like how exciting that is. The women's team, uh Nate joining back in the fold and Roy becoming head coach. There's just a lot of like you could say like there's more story to tell, but I think it's also like what a wonderful thing to leave the fans of, like, these people will continue on with the way of Ted in the world. So it was we were definitely making sure to not be too sentimental, although a lot of people would tell me different places where they would cry when I would screen the whether it's Rebecca asked Ted to stay. And I had a version of that where they both, well, Rebecca especially cried a little bit more. And when I worked with Jason, he was like, let's try to make it so she doesn't cry here, because she cries at the end when he leaves. So we pulled back. There's one place where she kind of lets emotion go and we pull it back. So we were doing different things like that to like not blow it all up front, because we had a lot of, I guess, beautiful things that I think are just beautiful callbacks, like the team performing So Long Farewell. And, we just wanted to be able to tell it simply and not hang too much of a hat on it, if you get what I mean. Like, we don't want to like overindulge, but we want to give everybody the experience. So that was a line we were trying to, I guess, ride through that finale of sentimentality and like, all the storylines we were closing, and still feel like Ted, still be able to come in with a joke and undercut some stuff with humor.
Yeah, and like, if it doesn't have some of those things that we just love about a regular Ted Lasso episode, it's not a great final. And like, so that would have been a very tough sort of needle to thread. Also, sort of knowing that it's a final of sorts, but it might not be the ultimate final is also like would have been a tough balance. Did you have a favorite callback to season 1 or to the pilot in the episode?
Yeah, Jamie's play, because I also edited 103, which is where Ted does like ball, me, give me the ball. I would like a ball, please. Which was that was one of my favorite things I ever cut. It was so funny and so unexpected. And one of the joys of cutting season 1 was just those little funny moments. And then I went back and watched it. It just felt like, I missed like rewatching it again. Like I was like, wow, this was really a fun discovery. And then to play it from Jamie's point of view, I was like, I want to get it the performance as close to what Ted's performance was. So I was scouring the dailies to try to like match as close as I could. And Phil gave one that was like still in Phil flavor, but close to what Ted did in that season, with asking for the ball for the end play. And Sam, and then there was like a little callback for the barbecue sauce, which is really nice. Like that whole thing felt just right. It just felt right. I was just like, the whole time I was cutting, I was like, gosh, these writers are so smart. And I would have never thought that was going to pay off at the very, very end. But like they kept all that stuff in their brains, and I was just amazed at the storytelling that our team was doing. It was really special to see it come to life.
Last time we spoke, Melissa, you said that like Jason is so open to ideas from anywhere that they come. Like, was there a particular idea you had for that final episode that you're particularly proud of or thought was particularly cool that in the edit?
Trying to think. Oh, well, there was lots of little surprises that we came up with. Like, we transitioned out of Nate looking up at where the believe sign used to be. And when Ted says, I could still see it. And he turns his head to the side and we go back and we push up into it. And then I kind of tried to match that push into the push of the next day at the stadium. And he really like, kind of loved that conjoining idea. And there was a lot of different music things that we went round and round about, like the Stone Roses for the long oneer. I put in Stone Roses originally, and he was like, I don't know, maybe not. And so then I tried like 20 other songs, and we ended up back at the Stone Roses. So that was a fun experience, because I was open to it too. I was like, this is, giving me. I went and watched Boogie. I went and watched the great oneers like Boogie Nights and Mean Streets and all that kind of, or Mean Streets? But yeah, I watched, all those famous like oneers going into the Copacabana. And I was like, what was the music and what made the music special about that? So I was doing that kind of creative work, and Jason always likes if you come from a place of that. So I was like chatting with him about that to get his ideas, because he's a great person to bounce stuff off of. So yeah, we did a lot of chatting about music. He brought in the Ben Folds song, that we used for that transition. So yeah, the finale was a beautiful of like, I had a lot of feeling for how it should be, and Jason had a lot of feeling for how it should be. And I think we just like, we both felt the importance of it. And it was a really, it was a beautiful, like last hurrah working together. It was really fun and meaningful in that way. It was very, collaborative and talking out our ideas and where the ideas come from. And, he filled me in on Phil's motivation when he's about to drink the beer for the first time. Like he got inspired by this old war movie where a guy comes back from war and is about to drink a beer because he's been training with Roy Kent the whole time. And so I got to hear where everybody was coming from with their bringing to their art form, which was really a beautiful experience for the end, because I think everybody wanted to put something a little bit extra into it because we were like, this could be it, who knows, sort of thing. So
something else in that final episode is before the football match, they play a little video looking back on the team's time, which ends up not being the best for how the first half of that game goes. But did you edit that as well?
Yeah. It was a little bit of a meta edit.
Yeah. So you're editing the movie. Was it challenging editing something that has to look like it was edited by someone else that's within the world of the show?
Yes. I did a few versions of that because it was one of those things where you're like, we have to tell that the team is like feeling something, and the images that you can show. And so the wild thing with that one was that was the last scene they ever shot for Ted Lasso. That was the last day of filming, was them watching that video. And Jason texted me and was like, "Hey, have you done that video yet?" And I was like, "Well, I haven't. I've been gathering the footage, and they wanted something to watch back." So I go, give me 20 minutes. So I was texting with him, waiting for the shot of their reaction shot. Yeah. So they had it in time for the last couple of them, but and then Jason spoke over one of the takes, kind of like telling them all the things, and it was beautiful and lovely, but they really lost it. And then in the edit, it was like, well, they can't quite lose it in the locker. You have to take it up to where they don't lose it. So as beautiful as that take was, it was like almost like couldn't use a lot of it because they were crying, so much. But that one was hard because wanted to have a fun. I was like, well, what's a good intro into that, because Beard did the total football callback in AJ's episode for 307. And so we just grabbed that same kind of like video intro for the goodbye video, and was like, what would be in like an app, an iTunes, or not iTunes, but one of those like templates for video editing for like a main title. So we did that. And then curiously enough, growing up, I was on the swim team, and our assistant coach would make us year-end videos every year set to music. So back in my day, they did like Van Halen Right Now, and so I really tried to channel that. They're all on VHS. I have them. The 4 years that I was a varsity swimmer or whatever, every year at the end of the season, and we would just love it. It would be our end of the year thing, and he would gather all the videos from the parents and all of us kids, because it was back before cell phones. So so that's kind of what we did. We had an open channel that the guys on the team could send us their behind the scenes videos. So it was a mix of that, a mix of things Apple had shot from behind the scenes, and then going back to the seasons for the game footage. And sometimes I would be like, you want to try to pull things that have already, because we add all the stadium. So it was a bit like, if I was pulling something new to see it from a new angle, it would be like, well, that's a whole new stadium build. So we were trying to be creative with that. But that was interesting. Luckily enough, I had the video play with the mix of the team. So you really didn't have to see much of the editing. But I did a version of that. My assistant Francesca did a version of it. Like, we just kind of kept doing different versions to see, the best way. Cause it was like editing within the editing, which was very interesting, mind thing to wrap your mind around.
How would Coach Beard edit a movie? What's he like as an editor?
Right.
He's probably not an Emmy nominated editor, so you like have to do a non-Emmy nominated quality for that little bit with inside the Emmy nomination quality edit.
Exactly.
So, and you are nominated for that episode, as we've already talked about. You've been nominated for each of the 3 seasons of Ted Lasso. And I think something interesting is Ted has gotten 2 nominations for each of the 3 years in this category. And each year it's been you for one of the episodes and AJ for the other episode. You've all been nominated together. Neither you won last year. AJ won for the first season. He beat you. Surely it's your turn this year to win.
We'll see. It's an honor. It really is an honor to be nominated. Like it's been wild. But I know I said to AJ, I was like, we should just pick one and just all put our names on it.
And it won together.
I know, but it's just the way the season worked out. I'm sure we just never thought about it, and then you get to the end of the season and it's just the way it is. But I really do. It's been so special. I didn't really expect it this year. I don't know. I just felt like, maybe it'll be okay to sit this one out. But like, I've been so trying to like really appreciate it, because it's like, who knows if this is ever going to happen again. And it's such a special show, and I've just loved it so much, and really just trying to embrace the whole Emmy season this year and enjoy it.
And look, it's tough competition, and it's always tricky to know how it's going to play out when you have 2 nominees from the same show, and his episode's great as well. But maybe the little bit of hope for you is that the year he won the Emmy, he'd submitted the season final. So maybe the season finals are good. And last year when neither of you won, I don't think either of you had the season final as the submission. So
you're right.
Season final, maybe there's something there.
Hey, you know what? I like the way you think. Maybe.
Yeah. So maybe that's just to finish off, Melissa. What is the thing you have loved most about working on this show for the past 3 seasons, and may continue to love about working on the show?
Working with these actors, like getting to craft these performances. When the Emmy nominations came out, Brett Goldstein, messaged me, congrats, and I kind of said, like, I feel like my nominations are a lot of times the gold that you give us, and I feel like I stand on your shoulders. And he said so graciously, like, I feel the same. And I think we really kind of, over that 3 seasons, really formed a great team, like actors, but also our sound team and our composer. And like, we really kind of, like, Ted Lasso has to draw from so many different things to kind of get that, what I was talking about, the line, right? Like the music has to, not teeter over into this or that. And it's a very fine line. And we had a lot of open communication back and forth. And I think, it's just everybody bringing a little bit of extra magic to what they do, which is, whenever I would open a bin, there would be something sprinkled on there that the actors would find, or Jason would find, or the directors, or somebody coming in that would want to elevate it even more. And then when it would get to the editing bay, what can you do to elevate it even more? And then when the music comes in, what can we do to make it, and there was so much intentionality with everybody doing that it's just that kind of special magic that you don't see a lot of the times, when everyone's just like almost doing 10% more than what even is good, right, to make it great. And so that's been an exciting place to work, and to feel like you're also part of the creative process. So I think I'm going to miss just that open creative outlet. And I think we all were in that lane where it was, nobody felt stifled in a way.
Well, Melissa, all the best of luck with the upcoming Emmy Awards. Hopefully you can take it out for that wonderful season final. And people can go to goldderby.com to make their own Emmy predictions and follow the races and join the discussion in our forums. Melissa, thank you so much for the time again. It's lovely to talk to you.
Yeah, so nice to talk to you again. Thank you.
Yeah.